What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Arrow, and today we're going to talk PoE2 0.4. The patch notes were last night, and the trailer was incredibly exciting, but the patch notes left a bit to be desired. But I went back through my notes and I pulled out 5 things that you should be very, very excited about going into 0.4. Let's go. Number 1 is the obvious one. That is the Druid. The reason that I'm excited about Druid, and I really wasn't before the trailer, is that Druid is way more fleshed out than I expected. There are 2 new classes, and there are 250 new notables on the tree, mostly in the Druid area. These Ascendancies look like they're going to be available for a lot more things than I originally thought, and they've weaved in attack and spellcasting at the same time, which has always been a tough archetype to pull off. I think there's going to be a ton of build diversity within the Druid, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. I think I'm probably most excited for the Wyvern, because that Game of Thrones style fire-breathing attack looks really, really cool. The second thing you should be excited about is huge Ascendancy changes. I think they probably undersold how much they changed here, and I think the biggest winner is probably Pathfinder. Pathfinder now has the ability to turn your travel nodes into global defenses, damage, or cost efficiency. Global defenses is an incredibly powerful stat, and the Pathfinder lends itself to an evasion and ES archetype. You basically solve all your stats by getting stats on gear, which would replace the stats that you get on the tree, so you're effectively getting global defenses as suffixes on all of your gear now. Pathfinder also got running assault changed, and it now gives you immunity to heavy stun while sprinting, which is incredible. I think once you do that, it's going to be tough to go back, but you're going to be able to sprint through packs and not have to worry about falling down. We also saw some changes to Deadeye. Deadeye lost its Wind Ward, which is a huge amount of defense, but it gained some significant damage on Bullseye in the form of critical strike chance. And now, we don't have the numbers on this, but it looks like Deadeye got a huge buff in its Mirage Deadeye Ascendancy node. This is a meta skill that when you fire a ranged projectile, based off of some cooldown we don't know yet, it creates a Mirage that will attack alongside of you. This looks like it might be good utility or good single target, but either way, it's always nice to get new stuff. Lastly, I think maybe the single strongest node in the game now might be Sorc Ward for the Witch Hunter. So Sorcery Ward comes from Obsessive Rituals, and it gives you a shield against elemental damage based off of your armor and evasion. That shield now, if you take the second node behind it, will protect against physical and chaos damage as well. Given how dangerous those damage types are in this game, this is a massive buff to Witch Hunter, and you realistically can be walking around with a 10k shield. There are going to be some very tanky Witch Hunters out there. Number 3 is that there was a huge pass to uniques that solved a lot of the problems that I had with them. The main thing is that you'll see a ton of different uniques got their base defenses increased heavily. This is going to allow lower level uniques to be more competitive with endgame rares and really helps solve the problem of uniques simply being outclassed by the base defensive layer. There are a ton of uniques that I'm already really excited about, but I'm just going to talk about a few of them quickly. The first one is Zoph's Blood. This was not that strong of an amulet, and it provided -10 to fire res for enemies, but now this goes up to -25, and it provides up to 100% fire resistance to you. Using this on the newly buffed Smith of Kitava seems like a really nice way to get some damage and some defense. Next, we have Defiance of Destiny, which has been returned to its old glory. Defiance of Destiny has a line that says, recover 20 to 30% of missing life before being hit by an enemy. This basically makes it so that when an enemy hit is coming in, it's going to heal you before the hit, which means if you're getting hit by small projectiles, you're basically getting healed. It's incredibly powerful, even at the 10 to 20% range it's currently at, but at 20 to 30, this is going to be one of the most meta items in 0.4. Next, we have Voltaxic Rift, which is an incredibly fun item. I made a Poison Burst arrow build with this bow, and it was incredibly strong. We are now nearly doubling the damage of the lightning that appears on this bow. So instead of going from 1 to 200 to 300, it is now 1 to 300 to 500. So at the top end, that is a 200 flat damage increase. This will be a very strong item in the coming patch. Next, we have Here's Ire, which was already a very strong item. It's lost its chill duration in favor of freeze duration. No one really cares about chill duration because you're reapplying the chills all the time. But freeze duration makes it easier to freeze enemies, and it's not super easy to get and is very powerful. Also, the very small amount of cold damage to attacks that was on the chest has been replaced with up to 25% of damage as extra cold. This is a huge offensive and defensive boost to this chest that I already believed was quite strong. If you're a cold bow user, you're going to want to be using a Heres. Lastly, I want to talk about the Drill Neck. The Drill Neck was actually not in the patch notes, but it did show up on the Path of Exile 2.com/Druids post that they put out, and it gives you a lot of value. This quiver has Pierce, Life, Attack Speed, Deflection rating as evasion, increased damage for piercing enemies, and increased crit for piercing enemies. But then the most important line, attack projectiles return if they pierced at least 2 times. Now, obviously I can't test this yet, but this should work with Frost Walls. In the Ice Shot build that I've already played and have a guide for up on max roll, you're going to want to be placing your frost walls near the enemy so that the secondary projectiles of Ice Shot can collide with the boss. Well, now if you put that wall down and you have 2 pierces, you will pierce the wall, pierce the boss, and then have that projectile return when its flight ends. That could potentially result in another full hit on the boss, so we'll have to see once we get in game. The fourth thing that we should be excited about are all the support gem changes. Now, not all of them are my favorite, but there is a lot of good stuff in here. We have 35 new supports. Many supports that were previously unusable have been buffed pretty significantly. For example, something like Zoth's Pyre, Esh's Radiance, Tool's Stillness, and Ulnatol's Embrace all used to give a damage type as extra chaos at a rate of 20%. Those have all been doubled to 40%, and now making these all pretty competitive if you are looking to get extra chaos damage. Esh's Radiance, for example, is going to work very well with the Voltaxic Rift that already converts all of its lightning over to chaos, so now we're going to get even more of that lightning as extra chaos. Another one we have that's now interesting is Zarok's Refrain. It makes it so that you get 3 instead of 2 spell echoes and also grants 40% increased AoE. Now, the cooldown on this is around 5 seconds, but you can lower that cooldown, and with the reduction in density in maps, you may be able to use this for clear. Repeating skills 3 times every 5 seconds, as well as all that extra AoE, means I'm probably going to find a way to use this. Another great one is Arhun's Metal. It used to give a 35% chance to load a bolt into all crossbow skills on dealing a killing blow. So basically, while mapping, you don't have to reload. People were already using this at 35%, and now it's 100%. This basically guarantees while mapping that you're not going to have to do any reloading. Number 5, the thing that I am probably the most excited about is the League mechanic. The Fate of the Vaal looks super fun, and since Synthesis was my favorite league in PoE1 history, I'm obviously very excited about this one. You get to build out a temple in a much more complex way than you did in Incursion in PoE1, and most importantly, this content is all going to scale with difficulty. You're going to be able to juice each room in the tower several times, which is going to make the content harder and more rewarding, something that the endgame of PoE is greatly lacking right now. So what we may be missing in endgame changes in maps may be found in the temple. I can't wait to get in and play this league. Some of my favorite things did get nerfed, which I'm pretty bummed about, but there is tons of stuff to play. So I'm going to be working on my league starter for 0.4 over on stream if you want to come join us. Twitch.tv/AER0___. I'll give you a hint, it's probably going to be cold based. So stop by and see us drop that Twitch Prime, and make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe down below on this video. Let me know in the comments what you are most excited or most disappointed in this league. I understand there are both positive and negative sentiments. If you were watching my crash out on Twitch yesterday, you probably know that I have plenty of things that I'm not happy about with this league, but I'm feeling much, much better today after re-reviewing the patch notes. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care.